Good morning student, I Purnima welcome you to my class and today I am going to do the lesson packing. Now children, packing is a very interesting lesson. It is written by Zeram K. Zeram. I hope you know about this writer. Okay, and he has written many interesting books. Okay, so it is a very humorous description by Zeram K. Zeram indeed. Before starting for a trip, one should plan and prepare oneself for it at first. So children, whenever we are going for outside, out station, or when we are going for some trip, we have to plan. And children, the most important thing is the packing. Because if you are going for a trip, if you will forget single thing, you will be in problem. Okay, so here the writer has said how the three person were not able to pack, and even the most the person who always used to pack, even he had forgotten some important thing like toothbrush, and which made the story very humorous. So for proper packing of goods and article, experience as well as knowledge both are needed. Children, if we will see the title of the lesson, we will feel why this topic has been taken. We all know how to pack. But the thing is that children, whenever we have to pack some articles or goods, experience as well as knowledge both are needed. Travel light is the motto one should follow if one wants to enjoy the trip. So children, we don't have to carry a lot of things, because nowadays it is a sort of much problem in carrying and all that thing. Of course, for the sake of fun, we must enjoy by reading this account of baking performed by the three gentlemen. It is an extract from Three Men in a Boat. So children, the writer, let me write the name of the writer. So the writer is Zeram K. Zeram. The writer is Zeram K. Zeram, and children, this writer, this is a writer, and he is what he is doing, children. He has written a lot of thing about how to pack the thing, and children, this is an extract from Three Men in a Boat. Okay, this is a very famous novel of Zeram K. Zeram. This is a very famous novel of Zeram K. Zeram, and he had children written. This is a part, packing is a part of this novel. This is an extract from this novel, and he has written about children. He has taken from Three Men in a Boat, and this is a very famous novel of Zeram K. Zeram. Okay, the other two adventurous accounts recommended for reading are Three Men in a Boomel by Zeram K. Zeram and Riding the Ranges by Bill Atkin. Now something is related with the packing. It is one of the most important book of Zeram K. Zeram is Three Men in a Boomel. And this again is a very interesting book, and one book by Bill Atkin is Riding the Range. So you will try to read this book when you will have time. You will really enjoy it. So now children, I will be telling you about the all the this detailed children explanation of this lesson packing with some important point. So packing once again is written by Zeram K. Zeram, and it's an extract from Three Men in a Boat, a very famous novelist written by the writer. Now my first point is beginning the packing. Beginning the packing. Now, children, whenever we go, two things we have to see: where we have to go and what are the things we should according to the place where we are going. If you are going to the hill station, you cannot wear high heels sandals. You have to take your sports shoes, isn't it? And children, some comfortable dresses like trousers, loose t-shirt, or any comfortable dresses with a light baggage. Okay. But if you are going to some place like temples, you can wear saris or some traditional wear. It can do. Okay. So the packing according, and then for how many days you are going. If you are going for 15 days, so you have to take a lot of things. Okay. One thing if you will forget, you will have problem like charger, medicine. These are some of the important things which often people forget. Okay, especially the medicines or hanky. Okay, napkins. So many small things are there. So children, that's why the writer has thrown importance on packing. Okay, he told the word packing. People think it is a very easy thing. We will pack this, we will pack that, but actually it is not very easy. It is quite difficult. How to do the packing again is a art. Like here, people has put cake and tomato and then some heavy thing, and the tomatoes got smashed. Okay, so all this thing we have to look that whenever we are going for a long trip, what and according to the place, okay, what are the things we should pack. So beginning the packing, the author offered to pack the good himself alone. Now children, here one man is there and he is having two friends. So he wanted to pack the things himself, but actually he wanted that he should sit and he should give order, okay, to his friend, and they have to go for some trip for a few days. So he wanted to give some tip to his friend for the packing. So the author offered to pack the good himself alone. Actually he mean that his two friends George and Harris approved it, but there was a confusion. Actually writer wanted to give orders because he was a good packer. He wanted to guide them and he wanted them to pack. But then something was not clear to his friend George and Harris. They thought that he will be doing the packing and they would be sitting. Okay. So they were very happy when he told that he offered to pack the good himself. George and Harris approved of it. At this, author felt surprised. He hoped that they should have just said a word of formal courtesy. As they did, the author felt irritated. He begins packing. They looked at him with wide eyes, yawned, and rested on the sofa. When he had strapped, Harris reminded him of the boots and smiled. When everything was packed, okay, then Harris suddenly remembered, okay, whether the boot was kept or not, and he was not able to remember. And everything was taken from the children bag, and again it was repacked. Okay. So they looked at him with wide eyes, yawned, and rested on the sofa. When he strapped, Harris reminded him of the boots and smiled. So when everything was packed, Harry just asked whether you have packed the boots or not, and he was not able to children say. So again he has to take out all the packing. Unwillingly the author unpacked and placed the boots in. George laughed when the author packed it. He remembered this toothbrush. Now children, he remembered his toothbrush. He was not certain whether he had put it in or not. Now children, again he packed everything, and then suddenly, children, as it used to happen with him, he forgot that whether he had put the toothbrush or not. Generally, he every time used to forget his toothbrush or. So children, he forgot. Okay, he forgot whether he had put the toothbrush or not. And again, children, he messed up the things. He again took out all the things from his bag. And finally, children, let's see what happened. Okay. And he could not find the tooth where searches started began. And finally, that toothbrush was found in one of the boot. He had to repack once more. And again, he had to repack all those things. Now packing by George and Harris. My second point is packing by George and Harris. Now George asked the author if the soap was in. The author replied angrily, "I care a fig if it is not in or not." He strapped it. George and Harris offered to pack now. Author said aside quietly. They started packing. At first they broke a cup. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on the top of a tomato and squash it. Now children, while packing, lot of things has happened. Like children, while packing, okay, in a hurry, first lot of cups were broken. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on the top of tomato and squashed it. At last they had to take out the tomato with a teaspoon. And finally children, George has to pack the edibles, the edible thing. And the first thing he had done, he had put the tomatoes, and over the tomatoes he had kept the strawberry jam, okay, and all the tomatoes were squashed. At last they had to take out the tomato with a teaspoon. Now turn of George. Now my third point is okay, turn of George. Now George's turn came, as he was also asked to do the packing. So now his turn came, and let's see what he has done. He trampled the butter. Okay, he crushed the packet of butter. The author remained quiet. The author was so upset that he did not say. They felt irritated, nervous and excited. In embarrassment, they packed the pies at the bottom and put the heavy things on it. All the pies were spoiled. They upset salt over everything. So this was George. First of all, children, he could not find butter. He sat, one of the persons sat on the butter, and the butter is stuck behind it buttocks, okay, and they were finding everywhere the butter. And finally when the butter was found, George trampled the butter. The author remained quiet. They felt irritated, nervous and excited. In embarrassment, they packed the piece at the bottom and put the heavy things on it. Pies were spoiled. They upset salt over everything. So this was the packing done by George. Now search for butter. Now my fourth point is search for butter. As for the butter, George removed it from his slipper, tried to put it in the kettle but failed. After scraping it, they placed it on a chair. Harry sat on it. It stuck to his lips. They began to search but failed. They circled round the room again and again, blaming each other with arguments. At last George saw it. They got it off and put it in the teapot. Now, not only that, the trouble started when their dog, the pet dog, troubled them. Troubled by their pet dog. Okay. Montmorny. This is very peculiar name, Montmorny. was their pet dog. He always got in the way. He was present where he was not wanted. So children, that dog was very peculiar. Wherever he was not wanted, he used to go there only. So then when they were doing packing, they did not want any dog to go there, but he was there only. He threw away things up and down. He spoiled the article with his damp nose. He put his leg into jam, thinking lemons are as red. He killed 3 of them. The packing was complete at 12:50 midnight. Harris sat on the big hamper. He did not care if anything was broken or not. Due to shortage of bed, Harris slept with the author and George that night. So this happened. So children, I have finished all the important point of the lesson, and now we are going to do, children, some question and answer, not the textual but more the question and answer which were given in the sample paper. Okay. So what does the author feel about packing? So the author feel about the packing, he feel pride in the art of packing. He used to think he is a very experienced person and he loved packing. Name 2 other packers involved in the story. So they were his friend George and Harris who were involved in packing. What was author's intention about packing? He intended to boss the job while Harris and George were to work under his direction. What irritates the author much? The author irritates when other people do nothing when he works. What horrible idea entered in author's mind? It was whether the author had packed his toothbrush or not. Why had the author unpacked everything? The author had to unpack everything if he had packed his toothbrush. Where did the author find the toothbrush? He found the toothbrush inside a boot. When did the author finally finish the packing? The author finally finished the packing at 10:05 p.m. What was left after the packing? There remained the hampers after packing. How did George and Harris start the packing? They started the packing with breaking a cup. So the packing was started by breaking a cup. What did Harris do in the packing? Harris packed the strawberry jam on top of tomato and squashed it. What was done by George in his turn? George trod on the butter. Why were the peas smashed? The peas were smashed because they were packed at the bottom. Where was the butter? The butter was on the slipper of George. Where was the butter kept in the end? The butter was kept in the teapot. Who was their pet dog? It was Monty Morency. What used to be the ambition of the dog? To disturb others when everything was done in a smooth way and he was scolded, but then there was no reaction from him. What wastage was done by the dog? The dog killed 3 lemons as if they were rats. At what time was the packing over by Harris and George? It was over at 12:50. What time they all got up? They all got up at 6:30 a.m. Who is Zeram K. Zeram? Zeram K. Zeram is the author of this lesson, and this is an extract from 3 Men in a Boat. Okay, this whole chapter. Now, short answer type of question, about 3 to 4 sentences. The author offered to pack for the trip when his friend allowed him to do so. He was not happy. Why? The author was not happy because he had only pretended to pack. He always enjoyed bossing over the job, but his friend had agreed to his offer of packing for the trip. He disliked people doing nothing while he was doing things. What did Harris ask him when the author had strapped his bag? When the author had strapped his bag, Harris asked him if he was not going to put the boots in the bag. Where did he find his toothbrush? He found it inside a shoe. He packed once more. Why did George and Harris have to pick out the tomato with a teaspoon? While packing was being done by George and Harris, Harris packed the strawberry jam on the top of a tomato and squashed it. The tomato was crushed under its weight, so Harris and George had to pick out the crushed tomato with a teaspoon. The author says, I never saw two men do more with 1 or 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life. What did George and Harris do with the butter? George and Harris walked on the butter. George got the butter off his slipper. Both tried to put it in the kettle, but it would not go in, or what was in would not come out. They did scrape it out and put it on the chair. Harris sat on the chair and it stuck to him. Then they all went all over the room looking for it. Do you think the author packed better than George and Harris did? Give reason for yours. I think George and Harris were inexperienced. They did not know how to pack up. They strapped the bag and forgot to put in one thing or the other. They spoiled the butter. They squashed the tomato and broke the cup. Of course, the author seemed to be better experienced in packing job. At least he did not spoil anything. How did Montmorency add to the confusion of packing? During the packing process, Montmorency got in the way. He came and sat down on the thing to be packed. He thought lemon to be rats. He also got into the hamper and spoiled 3 lemons. He put his leg into the jam. This is a humorous story. Which incident in the story did you find the most amusing? So this is a humorous story, and this is indeed a humorous story. Everything in it caused humor. However, the incident of Harris and George packing the butter is the most amusing. They trod on the butter and then forgot to place it, and then Harris sitting on it is really humorous. We can't help laughing at such a funny situation. Traveling light makes us enjoy our holidays. Explain. Traveling light makes us enjoy our holiday. Explain this. It is wise to travel with minimum luggage. Only the most necessary things should be packed. It made our journey peaceful, entertaining, and free of tension. We do not have to depend on the porters or police. The chance of stealing by the thieves become rare. Things do not get in a mess. They don't need to be packed and repacked. They become handy. We can use time saved in enjoying natural scenes outside. We can chat, discuss politics, or play game like Sap City. All this is possible only if we travel light. With lightweight we should travel. What does the author feel proud of? How is he caught in his own trap? How did the author expect from George and Harry after his offer to pack? The author feels proud of his packing, so he offers to do the job himself. At this, George and Harris agree at once, and as if they were waiting for this offer. However, the author was astonished to find them sitting aside. He did not expect that they would sit there as onlookers. The author now had to do the packing job by himself. He looked at both of them with jealous eyes. In other words, he was caught in his own net. What did the author intend when he said, I would pack? What did he actually intend? When the author said he would pack, he intended to supervise the job while his friends carried out his instruction. But they took it literally and sat down to relax. The author felt irritated. What is the thing that the author did not like? The author did not like bossing of George and Harris upon him. Nothing irritated him more than looking at other sitting about doing nothing when his friend was working. Why did author open the bag again after he had put the boots in it? Suddenly a horrible idea gripped him. He was not sure whether he had packed his toothbrush. It was something that he must make sure. So he unpacked the bag. He took everything out till he found the toothbrush in a boot. Why did the author unpack when he had packed the bag? The author had packed and strapped the bag, but Harris asked him if he was not going to pack the boots in it. When he was repacking, the idea of his toothbrush came in. He had forgotten about it, so he unpacked the packed bag the second time. What mess did the author create in searching for his toothbrush? Where did he finally find it? The author was greatly disturbed to have forgotten his toothbrush, so he took everything out of the bag. In doing so, everything was in disorder. He did find George and Harry's toothbrush, but not his own. At last, he found his toothbrush inside his boot. Give 3 instances of author's forgetfulness. Very important question. First, the author had forgotten the boot. Harris reminded the author only when he had strapped the bag, when he had packed everything, then he was reminded. The second thing is the toothbrush, which the author forgets often. Similarly, when the author had finished packing, George asked him if the soap was in. And in frustration, the author threw aside the strap bag, remarking he cared a fig if this one was in or not. So, children, how did George and Harris make the author boiled? When the author was busy at packing alone, George and Harris looked at him quietly, but when he had strapped the bag, they deliberately reminded him if he had put in one thing of the other. By doing so again and again, they wanted to show as if he were made or out of mind. Narrate the naughty acts of Monty Morency the dog. So dog was very notorious. Let me tell you what he was doing. This is an important question. Monty Morency the pet dog gets in the way while packing is being performed. He pokes his nose where he is not wanted. He proves a perfect nuisance. People run made to see him. He throws the things at his head. He makes the author and his friend stumble over him. Now narrate the incident of toothbrush. While packing, the author is reminded of toothbrush which disturb him the most. While he is traveling, it makes his life miserable. At one time, he feels that he hasn't packed. He wakes up restless and hunts for it. Due to his nervousness, he packs it before he had used it in the morning. He unpacks it again, repacks, forgets, rushes upstairs, gets it and carries it to the railway station. At last, he finds it in his boot. He takes it out and repacks it. Describe the humor contained in the butter episode when George and Harris packed. George trod on the butter. While packing, George got the butter off his slipper. They tried to put it in the kettle, but it would not go, and what was in would not come out. They at last scraped it out and put it on the chair. Harris sat on it and stuck to him, but they forgot about it and searched it all over the room. Now, children, describe in few words how the author had packed the bag. The author friend accepted his offer to pack the bag and he started doing it. But it was his intention to direct both George and Harris for packing. He wanted to supervise them. Ultimately, he had to do the work by himself. When he had finished, Harris amusingly pointed out that he had forgotten to pack the boots. The author was irritated but opened the bag and put the boots and repacked it again. But he was worried. He was not sure whether he had packed his toothbrush or not. He opened the bag but had to turn everything out till he discovered it in a boot. He had to pack the bag all over again. He had just finished when he remembered that he had packed his tobacco pouch too. He opened the bag to get the tobacco pouch. He finally strapped the bag to 1050, but there remained the hampers to do. It was agreed upon that it would be done by George and Harris. How did George and Harris start packing? Give a brief observation made by the author. So, when George and Harris started with packing, they began in a light spirit. They were plates, cups, kettles, bottles, jars, pies, stoves, cakes and tomatoes. They started with breaking of a cup. Isn't it a humorous or funny thing? It was the first thing they did. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on the top of tomatoes and all the tomatoes were squished. At last he took out the tomatoes with a teaspoon. Now it was George's turn. He trampled on the butter. The author watched and waited but said nothing. They felt irritated and got so much nervous and excited that they packed the things helter-skelter. They packed pies of the bottom and put heavy things on it. The pies were smashed. They upset salt over everything. So, the upset salt over everything. Butter was on the chair. Harry sat on it. It stuck to his hips. Then they searched it. It confused them for some time as they were looking for it all over the room. At last, George saw it behind Harris. They removed and put it in the teapot. Do you find packing humorous? Yes, packing is humorous throughout. The writer gives funny and amusing description. His account about his toothbrush is very amusing. He is never sure whether he has packed it or not, and again he had to open everything and finally find that the packed toothbrush were in his boot. So sometimes he packed it before he had used in it the morning and has to unpack to get it. The whole account of his packing the bag is full of fun. But the butter episode is the most amusing. The butter is talking to Harris and they are puzzled and look for it all over the place. It is stuck over the hips of Harris. They have to remove it and put it in the teapot. Then there is the dog. He creates funny confusion. Whenever George and Harris reach out for something, he offers his cold, damp nose. He had disturbed everything. He thinks his day unlucky and a mere wastage. Still, he has not put others in difficulty. He cannot get rest without proper scolding. So children, these were all the important questions and the explanation of the chapter was done. With this, I take a leave. Thank you and have a nice day ahead. Bye-bye. Take care.